Hey guys, my name is Catherine. Thank you for joining me again for another episode of Missing the Missing. In this episode, number 22, we're going to be talking about Brandy Wesaquate. Brandy Rene WESAQUATE was born on the 4th of February 1983 in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, where she lived for all of her life to Mother Judy Wesaquate and Father Kenneth Denomi. Regina is the capital city of Saskatchewan and is the second largest city in the province after Saskatoon. According to Wikipedia, as of the 2016 census, Regina had a city population of over 215,000 and a metropolitan area population of 236,481. Brandy was the oldest of 6 siblings and was born anatomically male as Charles Anthony Wesaquate. From an early age, the young Charles began to identify as female and later adopted the moniker Brandy to complement those feelings. This is how we will refer to her throughout the rest of the episode. Brandy's Aunt Leona explained that, right from when he was tiny, he was playing with dolls and would live life as a girl. And as he grew up, we always accepted that he was just with the girls. I remember once telling all the girls to do something, and he laughed and said, "Yeah, but Auntie, I am, you know." And then I laughed and said, it's okay. And it was just the way it was. And the one thing that we know is that he presented himself the way he wanted to be, with the way he was choosing to live, as a girl, as a woman. Sadly, Brandy didn't have the most secure or stable start to life, and she and her siblings were therefore raised by their grandmother. Tragically, both of her parents and her grandmother had passed away in separate circumstances before she disappeared, and Brandy lived with a family member by the name of Shirley Wesaquate at the time. I believe this is a cousin, though this is unconfirmed. Taking pride in her appearance, friends said that Brandy could never pass a mirror without stopping and looking at herself, and relatives explained that she always had something cheeky to say back about anything. Well liked and known for making people laugh and being a party animal, relatives remember Brandy as kind, caring and funny, though she was known to lead a high-risk lifestyle. Brandy's Aunt Leona Wesaquate explained that her understanding of the situation was that Brandy was known to participate in the sex trade and was a sex worker, and that some of the family had been known to lead street lives. There was nothing noted as out of the ordinary in the lead-up to her disappearance, and at the time of her disappearance, Brandy was described as a 28-year-old Indigenous, Native or Aboriginal transgender female. Brandy is anatomically male, though identifies as female. She has brown eyes and brown hair, which was dyed blonde at the time and worn in a straight, shoulder-length style. She is 5'10" to 5'11" or 177 to 180 centimeters tall, weighing approximately 180 to 190 pounds or 81 to 86 kilograms. She is described as having a medium build and a light or fair complexion with healthy teeth. Brandy's tongue is pierced and she is known to wear a tongue ring. She has a birthmark, not further described, on her left hip area, and has 3 tattoos on her left forearm, a flower and heart, her mother's name Judy, and an image of a native mother and child. She was last seen wearing a white full-zip Adidas hoodie, with either black or navy blue stripes down the sleeves, faded blue jeans, and white board-style running shoes. She was also carrying a blue and white Adidas backpack. Very little is known about Brandy's disappearance. She was last seen at about 1:30 a.m. in the early morning of the 1st of January 2012, whilst leaving a house party in the 900 block of Ray Street, Regina, Saskatchewan. It has not been released if Brandy left alone or in the company of another. She had been due to meet with a friend that New Year's Eve, and it is unclear whether she left the party en route to visit this friend, or whether her plans had unexpectedly changed. A message from said friend reads, quote, "Miss her every day. We were supposed to meet New Year's Eve of 2011 and go bring in the new year together. But I waited and waited, and no show. I was upset at the fact she didn't show, but overcame it next day to find out she's been missing the day we were supposed to meet. I was heartbroken." Brandy was known to keep in touch with her family and was incredibly close to her friends, so when nobody had heard from her, they started searching and asking questions. By the 10th of January, loved ones couldn't contain their concern and reported her as missing to the Regina Police Service. The first news report regarding Brandy's disappearance was released by the Regina Police Service on the 11th of January 2012, with the second one following almost a week later on the 17th. Residents were asked to check their yards and outbuildings for anything unusual or for any signs that someone may have tried to seek shelter from the cold weather. It transpired that just a day after Brandy disappeared, on the 2nd of January 2012, the body of a recently deceased female was discovered in a ditch outside the city of Saskatoon, with foul play suspected. This caused ruptures through the close-knit circle of Brandy's loved ones, though the lady would later be identified as 36-year-old Brandy Rene WESAQUATE, another native lady and mother of 5. This crime also remains unsolved. If you have any information relating to the death of Brandy Rene WESAQUATE, please use the contact details in the description box below to get it to those who can act on it. On Monday, the 23rd of January, the Regina Police Department, in conjunction with trained volunteers from Search and Rescue Regina, conducted door-to-door inquiries and went block to block in the area surrounding the location where Brandy had last been seen, that being the 900 block of Ray Street. Searches convened at 9 a.m. at the Performing Arts Centre at 1077 Angus Street. Elizabeth Popowich, spokesperson for the Regina Police Service, explained of the search and rescue team, quote, "They will either find the evidence, or that person you're looking for, or that person or evidence isn't there, so they add that level of expertise and confidence to a search. It isn't very often that we need Search and Rescue Regina, but when we do, we really do, and they provide a valuable service for us." Hugh McLaughlin, Policy and Governments Programme Manager at the Ministry of Justice, explained of the search and rescue efforts, quote, "It sounds like it's a fairly straightforward activity. We're going to go look for someone. But it's actually fairly technical. There's a lot of science involved and a lot of research involved. Those who volunteer bring skills and training in a variety of areas, including navigation, locations, psychology of a missing person, and contacts and organisation of other volunteers. Sadly, nothing of evidential value was found during the search or inquiries, though investigators were able to rule out some locations as places of interest, allowing them to better focus their attention and efforts. On the 28th of January, another house-to-house search was conducted, this time in the 600 block of Elphinstone Street in the northern central part of the city. The search, along with various tips received from the public, prompted investigators to expand their search towards the east, as there was allegedly a belief that she could be in the area. Frustratingly, no information was released regarding what led investigators to believe this, or whether there had been any sightings in the area. On the 1st of February 2012, a further search for Brandy was conducted in the north central area, also known as the Hood. Searchers congregated at 1355 Albert Street by 9:30 a.m. for a 10 a.m. sharp start. On Brandy's 29th birthday, the 4th of February 2012, Search and Rescue Regina conducted a further search. A silent memorial for missing and murdered women was held on the 14th of February 2012. 2 days later, on the 16th of February, an aerial search was conducted over the east end of Regina with the help of the RCMP, given the previous information. Another 2 days later, on the 18th of February, the RCMP, search and rescue workers and police conducted a ground search in the same area. The Salvation Army was present, supplying searchers with food and water supplies. It was hoped that, given the warmer weather, the melting snow would reveal any previously hidden evidence, though sadly this wouldn't be the case. The Wesaquate family created a Facebook group about the case to raise awareness about Brandy's disappearance. Kevin Wesaquate confirmed in a Facebook post almost a year after Brandy's disappearance, on the 19th of December 2012, "From the last conversation I had with Victim Services, she said the police have now switched the case to a suspicious disappearance, and assured me they haven't put the file in the cold case pile and are working hard on the case. Thanks for the support, everyone." On the 14th of August of 2013, relative Shirley Wesaquate wrote in a Facebook post, "Really missing you so much, Brandy. So much has happened since you disappeared. Just when I think it can't get worse, some a-hole tries to take out your brother Kevin and our cuz Joe. They got shot and are in hospital right now. Don't know what I would have done if I lost them too. Please, if you're out there somewhere, please come home." No further information was released regarding the matter, and it would appear that both made a full recovery. It's unclear if the shooting had anything to do with Brandy's disappearance. In September of 2014, the Regina chapter of the Search and Rescue Saskatchewan Association of Volunteers, or SARSAV, was suddenly and without warning deactivated. The SARSAV president, Justin Kapp, would later explain in a statement that a confidential investigation was being conducted regarding a complaint of internal irregularities. Nothing of further detail was released regarding the matter, and both the RCMP and the Regina Police Service, agencies who both call upon the SARSAV services, say the suspension is a big loss. Hugh McLaughlin, as we've said, Programme Manager at the Ministry of Justice, noted that there are other chapters of SARSAV that are close. Moose Jaw is close, Gravelbourg has a chapter, and Saskatoon has a chapter, with Elizabeth Popowich, spokesperson for the Regina Police Service, stating of the void, "It is very likely that we would reach out to the RCMP because they also have resources available to them." On Thursday the 23rd of November 2017, at 11 a.m, the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls took place in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. In attendance at the inquiry was Brandy's aunts Leona and Gloria Wesaquate and Uncle Jones Wesaquate Oakes. Although they spoke of Brandy at the event, it wasn't Brandy in particular who brought the Wesaquate family members and representatives to the inquiry. Horrifically, Leona's other niece and cousin to Brandy Rene, 20-year-old Janine Rene WESAQUATE, was murdered 6 years before Brandy vanished in 2004. On the 19th of July of that year, her body was located in a burnt-out home of a kidnapped and murdered man in Regina. The Homan area was known for dangerous gang activity. Police suspect that the fire was deliberately set and Janine's death is being investigated as a homicide, though to this day the crime remains unsolved. It is not believed that the two branches of the family were particularly close, though regardless this is an extraordinary amount of heartbreak and tragedy to befall a single family. If you have any information relating to the murder of Janine Rene WESAQUATE, please use the contact information in the description box below to get it to those who can act on it. The inquiry also made a point of focusing on the unique challenges and needs of LGBTQ and Two-Spirit people, noting that this portion of the population are most often forgotten in discussions of violence against Indigenous people, and highlighting that a lack of consistent and accurate databases to track such cases contribute to the erasure or invisibility of SLGBT2 individuals and their experiences. According to Wikipedia, Two-Spirit is a modern pan-Indian umbrella term used by some Indigenous North Americans to describe Native people in their communities who fulfill a traditional third gender or other gender variant ceremonial role in their cultures. While there have been no recent updates regarding Brandy's disappearance, it is still considered an open and active investigation by the Regina Police Service. The theories in this case tend to fall into three main categories. The first is the possibility that Brandy left of her own accord, either to start anew elsewhere or sadly to end her life. From what we know of Brandy, she was not known to be depressed or down in any way. She didn't appear to want to leave her life behind. She was in a relationship at the time and had changed her Facebook display name to reflect her relationship, alluding to the fact that she appeared happy. To all intents and purposes, she seemed content with her life, despite the high-risk lifestyle that she led. Although she had experienced a lot of loss and grief for her years, she seemed to be fighting fit and was very close to her family and had a strong, close-knit group of supportive friends with whom she regularly socialised. There were no triggers that anybody were aware of that would have prompted her to leave. There were no financial transactions or communications that took place post-disappearance, and she didn't take a vehicle or any possessions with her. Not to mention that Brandy was due to meet a good friend of hers on the night of her disappearance to ring in the new year and failed to do so without warning. Although we are unaware of what specifically prompted police to begin searching in a new area early on in the investigation, there doesn't appear to have been any sightings, certainly no confirmed sightings of her since she vanished. Though it does need to be confirmed whether or not Brandy left the party that evening alone or in company with another. It is therefore believed that this is not a credible or plausible theory. The second is the possibility for an accident to have occurred. Given that Brandy had been at a house party that evening, comments from family seem to suggest that she had left home at approximately 8 p.m. on the evening of the 31st of December, and that she was not reported to have left until 1:30 that morning, There's plenty of time here for Brandy to have had a fair bit to drink. She did appear to be known for her party lifestyle, and while this could speak to her ability to hold down a decent amount of alcohol, we need to consider the occasion, New Year, and the probability that the party would likely have been far more wild than a typical weekend night. It has also never been confirmed whether or not drugs had been available at the premises, nor if any were used. If Brandy had been intoxicated that evening, it is possible that she may have lost her balance and fallen, either invoking a fugue state or potentially a much worse injury which could have resulted in her passing, or she may have succumbed to the elements. This theory also comes across as unlikely, however, as even though it was early hours of the morning, the area would have been very busy that night due to it being New Year's Eve, and given the geography of the area, it's highly likely she would have been found by now if this were the case. Brandy only had a hoodie with her at the time. She was not appropriately dressed for the cold weather, had no change of clothes with her. The area in which she was last seen is residential, busy, with very few areas of greenery, and no bodies of water within a feasible distance. To the east of the area, there appeared to be a number of businesses which bring the possibility of CCTV, so it would appear that she may have gone west, or potentially gotten into a vehicle if she wasn't picked up on any of the footage. The final theory is the possibility for Brandy to have been a victim of an act of foul play. This is the theory that some family and friends appear to be leaning towards, with her brother Kevin Wesaquate stating, "I know my sister better than anyone else. Something happened to her." Her aunt Leona also stated that Brandy was likely murdered, is what we believe. Although she was not known to have had any enemies, we know that Brandy did lead a high-risk lifestyle, which would have put her in contact with and proximity to criminality. And whether or not it is related, we must also consider the fact that her cousin Janine Rene was murdered a few years prior, and it is possible, however unlikely, that Brandy's disappearance could be linked to the still unsolved case of her cousin's murder. Leona Wesaquate, Brandy's aunt, also posed the question as to whether her gender identification may have played a role in her disappearance. She was known to engage in sex work, and who knows if she may have decided to engage with a customer on that particular evening. If Brandy was not forthcoming about her assigned gender, this may have caused friction with a potential customer and could well have led to violence against her. Another question to consider is whether or not whatever happened to Brandy actually occurred on that New Year's Day. We know this was when she was last seen and heard from, and that there had been no trace of her since, but it is feasible, however sad to think about, that she may not have actually passed on that date. This may explain why her body or remains have never been found. There are plenty, far too many, circumstances where depraved individuals have abducted victims and kept them alive for various reasons for quite some time after their kidnapping. Although it's not a pleasant thought, it does leave the possibility open for Brandy to still be with us and to one day be returned to her loving family and friends. Sadly, we may never know what happened to Brandy on the 1st of January 2012 in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. In this section, I'd like to draw your attention to a ray of light I discovered during my research into this case. Trans Lifeline is a non-profit organisation dedicated to the well-being of transgender people. Its hotline is staffed by transgender people for transgender people, and it connects trans people to the community, support and resources they need to survive and thrive. From their website, www.translifeline.org, to date, 95,696 calls have been answered. The hotline is available between 7 a.m. till 1 a.m. PST, 9 a.m. till 3 a.m. CST, and 10 a.m. to 4 a.m. EST. $375,000 has been disbursed. Microgrants and advice are available to assist with a legal name change or an updated ID to affirm gender. Advice for helping a trans friend in crisis is also available. There are 2 pages dedicated to offering advice when it comes to supporting a trans friend through a crisis, and suggests real solutions rather than recommending a call to police. The organisation works to fill a gaping void in society and is having a real and tangible impact on the well-being and quality of life of transgendered people across the United States. I wish them continued success in their work and would urge anybody who needs it to reach out to their service. I'd like to leave you now with a repeat of Brandy's description and some final words from family and Brandy herself. At the time of her disappearance, Brandy was described as a 28-year-old Indigenous, Native or Aboriginal transgender female. Brandy is anatomically male, though identifies as female. She has brown eyes and brown hair, which was dyed blonde at the time and worn in a straight, shoulder-length style. She is 5'10" to 5'11" inches, or 177 to 180 centimeters tall, weighing approximately 180 to 190 pounds, or 81 to 86 kilos. She is described as having a medium build and a light or fair complexion with healthy teeth. Brandy's tongue is pierced and she is known to wear a tongue ring. She has a birthmark, not further described, on her left hip area and has 3 tattoos on her left forearm, a flower and heart, her mother's name Judy, and an image of a native mother and child. She was last seen wearing a white full-zip Adidas hoodie with either black or navy blue stripes down the sleeves, faded blue jeans, and white board-style running shoes. She was also carrying a blue and white Adidas backpack. If seen today, Brandy would be 37 years old. At the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls, Brandy's Aunt Leona Wesaquate commented, "We don't know other than to say that she too was taken and that her life mattered too. Nobody is really speaking about her because her mum died. And we know that she had brothers too, and they all loved Brandy too. And many cousins that cared and wanted answers, and wanted at least to find her body and not to give up, and so that she could at least be buried in a decent way, if that's really what happened, or to find her and to know." At the same inquiry, Brandy's Aunt Gloria Wesaquate also commented in honour of her own murdered daughter Janine, Brandy's cousin, but the words are fitting to Brandy's case as well. "We want justice, we want answers, and we need to find a way to be able to heal. But please, don't just leave our story in a box or on a shelf or in a file. Instead, bring answers. Don't just leave it there. Find a way to be able to help the missing and murdered Indigenous women to be able to have healing and peace." Brandy's brother, Kevin Wesaquate, also posted a message of thanks to supporters on Facebook on the 30th of January 2012. "I want to thank the RCP, general public, newscasters, friends, family, everyone who's been there for me, and family through this time of worrisomeness. I have all the faith in the investigators and RCP. They are working around the clock. Thanks for doing the searches." Kevin also goes on to urge those in the know in the community to come forward if they have any information in the case. "I understand the rule of the streets. Everyone does. No one wants to be labelled or be targeted, just for having a heart or conscience. But I believe in life. I believe in peace. I believe in non-violence. I believe in humanity. Just do the right thing, my fellow beings. No matter the situation or case, we're all one inside. All I'm saying is, people will be scared to come forward because of their own safety. That's why no one ever talks. It's wrong, but it's up to the person to do the right thing." And now, some final words from Brandy herself, written just 1 month before she disappeared. "I am me, a unique individual. Ain't no pretending who I am. My real friends know that. And know this, you can say what you want about me, but my presence and my existence will leave an awesome impact on this earth once I leave it." A recent photo of Brandy Wesaquate is available at www.reginapolice.ca. If you have any information relating to the disappearance of Brandy Wesaquate, please use the contact details in the description box below to get it to those who can act on it. So thank you for spending some time here with me today, for taking the time out of your day to listen to more about Brandy's case and that of the other missing and murdered Indigenous women featured in this episode. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you next time. Bye!